What's going on, everyone? It's Mike back again here with your man, Millsy, Ian Mills, the man, the mystery, the milk tray kiddo. Um, I'm just going to mention him. Oh, Anthony Gordon.
Mate,
Just shambles, pathetic.
I don't really know where to begin. You don't want to believe the rumours in the summer that he wants out. You like to sort of, even though there's credible people saying them, you do try not to believe that and try to think that, it was someone who was going to come back, regardless whether they were or not. It was someone who was going to come back and really kick on, like we all hoped. That has not happened. That should be, for me, that should be Anthony Gordon being unhappy with elements of being at the football club, but it should start with looking in the mirror a little bit and looking about how he once again helps the football club, which he did last season. He wasn't the catalyst, but he was part of that team who got us over the line, and by working hard and connecting with supporters and caring, all that's gone. And now you're looking at an Everton career which is going to be remembered for just absolutely dogging us out and just leaving in the way that we've seen other boyhood Evertonians leave, and it's by hating the fan base. Now I'm 37. You're not going to hate me, but I imagine there's a number of 7-year-olds out there who you're going to hate. And that's not to say that you should never leave the football club, but the fact that you're now going to return to Goodison Park in a different shirt in a toxic environment, and you're going to be remembered for not turning up to training, not turning up to training when for whatever reason, let's not go into the finer details, it's all hands on deck right now for us. It has to be every player in there has to be given it 110%. Every member of staff, whether it be temporary or whether it be people in the back room who've been there for a while, all hands on deck, giving it everything. And you've got a Scouse kid, whether he's never told you or not, I don't really care. You've got a kid from this city who knows what it means not turning up to training to force a move through.
Yeah,
ridiculous.
I've sat here and I've sort of thought about what to say about Gordon, and I'm going to be one of those fans that I always wish every player the best of luck. I always do. I'm not the sort of person that, I've seen some horrendous tweets about players like Dan Juma, for example, Spurs and potential injuries and all sorts, and I don't agree with any of that. But Anthony Gordon, by leaving how he's left, in the manner he's leaving, with Everton where they are, the fact that he's been brought through our youth setup, he has been nurtured, he's been looked after. He's one of the very, very, very few that have made it from our academy in recent years. Tom Davis, Ross Barkley, Wayne Rooney. There's probably not many more to know. It's a disgrace. The way that
the club have made a foot. Let's not forget about that this summer when he was given the number 10 shirt and all these amazing comments.
Yeah.
Flowed with it, that he was plastered all over that ground when the new shirt came out.
Yeah.
Plastered all over it. The club couldn't push number 10 Gordon enough for shirt sales, and he had a manager who was coming out in the press praising him, publicly rejecting offers. His stock could not have been higher. It couldn't have been.
But it never will be higher now either.
No.
Because he, unfortunately, in my opinion, but again, people may disagree with this, but I've always thought he was overrated. I always thought he was the player that people were looking to in an Everton shirt as that little bit of hope, when in actual fact, he's actually not that good. I think I don't even think he's a big fish in a small pond at Everton. I think he's an average sized fish in a small pond. I think his distribution is poor at times. I think his tenaciousness is respectable, absolutely. But I don't look at a player and see 20 million, never alone 30, 40, 50 million pounds. So I would have cashed in the summer, and I would absolutely cash in now. I don't think he's good enough. I'll even go as far as saying, and I will have this on record here, I don't think he'll ever make an appearance for England. I don't think he'll ever make an appearance in front of a player like Alan St. Maximin, who when fully fit. I just don't think Anthony Gordon has that skill or that natural ability to finish that will put him as a top echelon midfielder. Now, with every young kid, I hope I'm wrong. I'm pro youth, so be that kid that goes and proves me wrong. Go and prove that it was the right thing to do, and leave a club that maybe you don't support, but maybe that supported you a lot. Go and prove me wrong. Go and prove that this was the right thing to do. We saw it with Rooney because we knew it. He was in an England shirt. He was playing sensationally. Yeah. Barkley, we saw, I would argue, we saw the best of Ross Barkley, and he's never been the same since.
England international?
Yeah. I don't see it with Anthony Gordon. I really don't. And I don't understand why Newcastle and Chelsea and Spurs and whoever else are that interested in him. But better people are more educated than me. I wish him the best of luck. And I'll leave it there, because the players I do want in my team are the quality players like Onana, who has got the right attitude and said, look, yeah, I am linked with moves away to places like Chelsea and other teams, but I want to stay and fight for this football team. Yeah. Maybe I'll assess it in the summer, but I want to keep this football team in the Premier League. That's the attitude, mate. That's what I want. I want 11 of them.
Yeah, and in the summer, before all of this happens, as I've said that, as I've put money on Anthony Gordon having that attitude, because something has happened. Now, I don't even think it was the Chelsea bit. I just think he's got an inflated ego as to how he perceives and how the club pushed the narrative of how good a footballer that he was last season for Everton Football Club. He's come back. Now I don't care how you look or dress, but you come back and it's night and day. It's how he appeared last season. And again, as a young kid, fair play. I don't care what you wear. I'm not one of those people who care. But what you can see is there's a visible change in it could be confidence. Maybe you say confidence, but some people say attitude, and I can see that. And again, I don't care. Just do it on the pitch. He gets 2 goals in the first 3 games when he's being linked with Chelsea. He then his form nosedives, and he's in and out the team. I think he gets 1 more against Palace with a bit of a tap in. There was no real direct wing play, though. There wasn't setting chances up. I never went to games and said, "Good God, when Lewin comes back, this is going to be poetry because of what Anthony Gordon's doing out there." I was looking, going, no one's even. I can't even see who's going to set Dominic Calvert-Lewin up, because you didn't get that. Something changed, and we'll never know in another 10, 20, 30 years when the book is written, or maybe you'll get a very good journalist who maybe goes a bit behind the scenes in the next few weeks. But something's happened there. That is not. Never mind a player. That's not the lad that we had last season.
No. I'm not too fussed, mate. To be honest,
He's not gone yet. That's the issue. He's not even gone. And then what happens if we're still here in 5 or 6 days' time, deadline day, or was it 4th, and he's still not gone? This is a massive issue now.
Well, he's put us in a position, hasn't he? He's put us in a position where he's told other clubs he wants to leave, which basically ties Everton's hands up and says, right, you either take the money or you've got an unhappy player. It's your choice. To me, he goes, and if Newcastle pay 35 million or 30 million up front, great. If they don't, again, I'm not particularly, but are you really not one of these people that sit there and players like Anthony Gordon, and this is awful to say, quick, direct wingers are easier to find than a player who has got the confidence to receive a ball in the middle of the park and pick a pass, create something, do something. That 30 million will be used to go and buy a player that hopefully can do that, or do something that works to keep Everton in the Premier League. If you used to say to me, do you think Anthony Gordon keeps Everton in the Premier League? My answer is no. No, he's not. Whereas, can you go and spend £30 million on a player that might? Yeah, let's go and do that. Let's go and get one or two players that may be able to keep us up. Let's see if we can get some more of these players out of the door that don't have the right attitude. So that's me personally. One of the things I wanted to talk about, because it can't be a long show tonight, everyone, unfortunately. I've got a parents' meeting about the Sats. So,
more important than Everton.
More important. But me and Millsy, we've been trying to get a show going this week, and diaries have clashed and all sorts. So we're here. We're giving you a little 20-minute special today. So I want to talk about the manager situation, because it was ebb and flowing between Dyche and Bielsa. Then Ancelotti's son, David, has been sort of thrown into the mix. Another one that was thrown into the mix was a manager that I mentioned to you, I think, just after Lampard was sacked, which was Carlos Corberán at West Brom. And this was a manager that I'd mentioned before anyone else, because he's a manager that I really think is destined for the top. I really rate him. Firstly, let's get your take on who you want and why. It's easier, isn't it?
This is the first time, and I'll give you some names, but this is the first time. No, probably not the first time, because I think last January was a poor pool as well. But let's say one of the very few times that I don't know. There's no one, but every single person, in every single different credential is a risk. But like I can 100% see merit in giving it to a young coach and saying we now have to give him a plan. And unless the football is absolutely terrible and it's really, really bad, then we stick with him regardless, and that's the plan. And we get the structure in place. I can see the merits for that. The risk is if that man hasn't got any experience of a Premier League relegation battle with the weight of these fans, this city, you included, Mike, these fans, the weight of it can very, very easily go wrong. So there's the risk. I can also see the firefighter. We just need the short term. We will concentrate on the long term when we get to the long term. And I can see Dyche, Allardyce. I can see the merits in, look, it's going to be ugly, but they have drew the Watford game, the Wolves game. They'd have drew the Southampton game. They'd have drawn at West Ham. It would have been ugly. You wouldn't like it, but you wouldn't be joint bottom. And you won't finish there. You'll finish outside of that three.
Yeah.
And then the risk with that is what then happens if it goes wrong with that. And then it's very visibly, you're going to get managers who could have been part of the long-term plan, look and go, and I want no part of it. If they go for Sam Allardyce over me, I'd want no part of it, and you burn that. I don't know. I'm edging more to the firefighter situation. I'm the solution. Sorry, I'm edging more to, mate. I just want 17th. At this moment in my Everton life, I'm not thinking of anything but just staying up. I don't want to see attractive. Well, I do, but I'm not expecting to see attractive football. I'm not expecting to be entertained. I'm not expecting a long-term vision to be visible on the football pitch at the moment. I expect it from the club. I don't expect it on the pitch. I try and remove myself from being an Evertonian sometimes and look at things as analytical and honest as I can. And when I do that, or I speak to friends, I've got a boss who's a Man U fan, I know a City fan, I know Liverpool fans, obviously. They all say in their general opinion, your team is rubbish. Like your team is so unbalanced and it's rubbish. So I personally think that as well. So I'm edging more to get them over the line, and that's a Dyche or it's an Allardyce on a short term.
Yeah, I agree, and I think I said this to you before. I think I said it to a few people. For me, if Moshiri was hell bent on getting in Bielsa, everyone knows the baggage that Bielsa brings, i.e., his whole team, the structure, the strategy. We've had Connor on the channel. I've spoken to Connor today, and he's saying bringing in Bielsa with 5 days or whatever it is of the transfer window to go is a car crash move. But if you'd have sacked Lampard after the Bournemouth game and give him those 4 or 5 weeks, plus the 4 weeks in January for the transfer window, Bielsa would get you probably 13th or 14th, and you would pick up a couple of wins against teams you don't expect. But we haven't got the time to implement Bielsa's philosophy. We haven't got that luxury.
No.
You know, there's nothing I'd want more than watching Everton beat teams 5-4 and, you know, a bit of aggressive football. But the facts are, one, we haven't got the players for it, and two, we haven't got the time to change that. So for me, it is Sean Dyche or Sam Allardyce. Now, if Sean Dyche wants the deal on an 18-month basis, I would give him an 18-month contract, but I would base it on the fact that he keeps us in the Premier League. If he would take a 6-month contract and he keeps us in the Premier League, I'd give him another 12 months, because we do need to stabilise, and that might be what I called the other night a bread and butter manager, a Sean Dyche, a David Moyes, a Sam Allardyce. I wouldn't give him a long-term 3 or 4 year deal. Just give him enough time to keep us up and to stabilise us. Then we'll go and get the Bielsa thought process, or the young manager like yours says, the Carlos Corberan, and give him that time and implement his strategy and whatever. I would absolutely do that. But now is not the time to do that. Your time now is to bring in Sean Dyche, Sam Allardyce, 8 people behind the ball, counter-attacking football, and you score the odd goal, and that hopefully, touch wood, keeps you up. My point is, I've had this debate with John, and this is horrible to say this, but I'd even argue that Sean Dyche is not the right man, because he has tried to play expansive football and he has tried to play pretty football at times, but he got a Burnley side that was really poor into a really bad situation and made it worse by trying to spend a bit of money and the owner's not helping. I actually think I'd go with Sam Allardyce, and I sit here, you can see my face, I sit here, cannot believe the words that I'm saying, but I would absolutely give Sam Allardyce a 6-month contract, knowing in the summer we press, and I mean we press, restart.
And that's the basis that you only regardless. Yeah.
Or you go the other way, as you say, and you bring in a Carlos Corberan, and you ignore the fact we might go down, and you say to him, this club might go down, you've got to bring us back up, and you've got to define our future. And that, again, is a tough ask.
Mate, I know you look at these 4 games, these 3 or 4 games starting in mid-February. What Leeds at home, Aston Villa at home, Nottingham Forest away. That's 3 back-to-back. And then you've got Brentford at home after it. Good team. So that's similar to the Brighton game for me.
12 points.
You've got to get 10 points. You've got to get 10 points from those games.
The 2 games that you haven't mentioned before as well, Arsenal and Liverpool, I think you've got to get at least a point out of one of them as well. And I don't think that'll happen. No, Millsy, can I ask you, in your heart of hearts, mate, are you still, how much faith have you got? Like, I'll tell you where I am. Doesn't matter who you bring in, I'm convinced this team's going down. And I know that's negative, and people are saying, Mike, it's so negative, but I can't see any light out of this tunnel. I think this team will be in the Championship next season. What about you?
I as much as I hate saying this, I wouldn't use a free bet on betting on Everton to stay up this season, and I wouldn't use a free bet on it. It's not gone. I don't think it's gone. I think the window of time is getting out. I was on the show 2 weeks ago saying that we had 2 weeks, and okay, since then the manager's gone. We're looking that we're trying to bring a little bit of money in. If you can bring a manager in, whether that be Bielsa, Dyche, Allardyce,
whoever,
and you then say there's 30 to 35 million, just if you want to buy 4 steady Eddies who will give you 7 out of 10. It's yours to do. If you want to buy one luxury player because you think that's the Kevin Campbell, go and do it. I think either of those scenarios can work. It's. I don't really think, and this sounds strange because it's only January. I don't really think it's in our hands. I don't think we've got the capability, regardless of doing either of those things, of winning enough games and being okay. We are relying on other teams being just as bad, getting injuries, going on some sort of run, signings not working. We're relying on a lot of variables. I don't think Everton pull away whilst other teams don't. So you've got to take 10 points from those games. You've got to look at Bournemouth, that last game of the season, and that you don't want to go into that situation being another Crystal Palace, but the likelihood is it probably will be another Crystal Palace scenario around that time. So I don't think we're gone. But like I said, I'm not sitting here saying that with a lot of confidence. I'm saying it's just because I think that we still can get out of it. But Mike, a lot of things are going to land for us over the next few days. Not even the next few weeks. It's days now. It's days to save this football club. Because if we go down, like we said previously, what happens with this fan base? Mate, they tear the ground out. That Bournemouth game, they would tear the ground down. Does the owner then does he walk without the funding for the stadium? We take a £90 million hit straight away by going down. I appreciate there's a little parachute payment or two to help you. To fire sale that team wouldn't give you enough money to replace them. So you'd still be left with the dribble that we don't even want now playing next season. And it's unthinkable. So there's days, mate, just days now.
Yeah. Getting it.
Mate, it doesn't feel, do you know what, in a weird way, I'm only talking for myself here, it doesn't feel to me, I'm not as upset and angry as I was last season. I just feel like I knew it was coming, kind of thing. And I'm just so disappointed in the club. I'm just so disappointed in the club because I seen it coming at that summer window where we were signing players that we were not good enough. We didn't need, and we were not only signing these players, we were blowing all our money on them. And so it goes way above. Frank Lampard was not a very good manager, and I can't stick up for that. It goes way above him, mate. Way above. He was a nice guy who tried his best, and it wasn't good enough. The root cause of this, there's not even that much anger, it's just disappointment.
There you go, guys. I'm going to leave it there because I need to shoot. However, I'm going to see what Millsy's availability is over. Maybe tomorrow, over the weekend, and we'll talk about the investment piece about Everton, and there's a few other bits we can discuss as well about transfers. So, guys, I'm leaving it there. Millsy, have a good evening, my friend.
You too, my man. I hope everything goes okay with the little man sat. He's a diamond. I'm sure it will be with the meeting.
Exactly his dad, don't I? Right, guys, I'll see you soon. Peace.